Hey, it's Melissa with Sincerely Creative Mom. We are going to make a super cute Valentine's Day wreath. It is a wreath kit available inside our shop. I did do some pre-cutting, but I wanted to make sure that I indicated how you can recognize which ribbons are for your ribbon tails and which ribbons are for your bow. So for our wreath, we have 12 spots for our mesh, 12 spots that go with our ribbon tails. And so you can always tell which ribbons are for your tails, which will be the ones you want to cut, by counting how many pieces there are here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. That means this is going to be for your ribbon tails. And so this was also, so these two are for your ribbon tails. And all you want to do is take your little scissors right up in here where the fold is, and I just cut. So they are folded in 14-inch strips. So you don't have to, you can if you want, but you don't have to take them and fold them and cut them individually. If you just cut them all at once, it's so much faster, so much easier. And then all I'm going to do is make sure I align them and dovetail the ends so that I have that pretty little edge going. So I'm just going to align them all the best I can. I'm not even going to go and make sure that they're exactly perfect. I promise. It's not gonna be noticeable or matter. So I had them all in a line. I'm gonna fold them, cut on the fold up towards the edge, on the fold up towards the edge. Just making sure I get all of them. There we go, just like that. So I'm gonna do that to all of the ribbons, and then we'll stack them. So another thing that I did already pre-do is I pre-cut our mesh. So with your kit, you get a full roll of mesh, which you don't need the full roll, but that's how it comes. And so I cut them 20 inches long for our mesh, 20 inches long. There we go. So we have our ribbons and our ribbons pre-cut. Let me get rid of all this here. Ribbons pre-cut, and then of course I have our mesh pre-cut also. So I have 12 of these pieces cut. They're 20 inches long. I did use my rotary cutter to cut. You can use a scissors if you don't have a rotary cutter. This helps the mesh get just a little firmer cut. Mesh is going to fray. It's a woven material. As soon as you cut it, it's gonna fray. It's gonna happen. And so by using your rotary cutter nice and firm against a self-healing mat, it helps it from fraying as much. Now it's still going to fray, but not as much. Okay, so I already did that part, and then we do have some left, so I can use that at a different time, different design. And then of course our ribbons that have, typically it's 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Typically it's 4. Sometimes you have, we do ribbons that are 5 lengths long, but that's how you know that those are for the bow. So 4 or 5, those are for the bow. Don't cut those. Anything else is for the tails. So I'm going to set those aside. And then a couple things also while we get going. I'm going to get these ready. Again, these are 2.5-inch ribbons. It doesn't always happen that way. Sometimes they are a mixture of 1.5-inch and 2.5-inch for our tails. Again, you just want to make sure you have counted the 12 lengths, and that's how you know that is for the tails. Sometimes I do 3, most of the time I do 2. But then you also want to make sure you're prepping everything ahead of time, just like I am. So I like to make sure that I cut, or try to make sure that I cut at least one of the tails while we are in the video so that you can see. And then of course we're doing the prep together. So our kit comes with, typically comes with our pancake wreath frame. It has spots specifically for where your pipe cleaners should go or will go. So you don't have to guess, you don't have to measure, you don't have to do any of those things. We're going to set those aside. They're ready for us in just a minute. Okay. Your kit comes with 15 pipe cleaners. Your sign we're going to go ahead and prep first. So I'm just going to cut the backs off. Now your kit does come with the zip tie mounts. However, I'm just going to tell you straight up, I don't use them for myself, but I can't assume you have a staple gun for your design, so I do provide those for you. You want to peel off the back sticky part. If you have an extra super glue E6000 or DAP Rapid Fuse, put a little bit of that glue on the back of that sticky and help it adhere. Again, I personally don't, I no longer use them, but I can't assume that you have a staple gun. So those are there if you don't have a staple gun. If you do have a staple gun, I'm going to walk you through how to use that also. Your sign is not quite 1/4 of an inch, but your staples are 1/4 of an inch. So I just add a little, this is just a ribbon spool, okay, just the back of a ribbon spool, and I just add two layers to the back. So it thickens up your sign a little bit, making sure that your staple doesn't go through your sign, okay? So I'm just going to take my staple gun. I guess I should have made sure that it was the right size. And I don't have any more staples, so it doesn't matter. Sorry about that. Light duty 1/4 of an inch. Light duty 1/4 of an inch. That's what I use. Light duty 1/4 of an inch. Ooh. Pretty sure I just pierced myself, okay? That's alright. Alright, so we're going to go in the back here. And just, again, add those two little pieces. Now, I just do 2. Some people go all 4 corners. I trust that 2 is good enough. Okay? Set those aside. I don't want to step on those, so let's get those out of the way. There we go. Alright, so now our sign is prepped, our mesh is prepped. Let's prep our pancake frame. So again, I'm going to start with the holes that are meant for the pipe cleaners and go right where the notches are. So that for every hole there's a notch. For every hole and notch combination, that's where you want your pipe cleaner to go. I'm going to put it in the hole, come out where the notch is, and I'm going to twist my pipe cleaner right near the edge, not inside, on the wood, right near the edge. Okay, so there's 12 spots. Again, I don't have to measure, I don't have to anything, it's super easy. There are, if you notice, a couple of extra holes that do not have a notch with it, and that is for you to help if you're adding on your sign or a bow and you can't get your pipe cleaner around the whole frame, so that's just there to help. Okay, so I'm going to go all the way around. So I use 2 pipe cleaners for my sign, 12 for my frame, and then 1 left will be for our bow. Again, I already pre-cut my mesh, so if you want to pause this video and cut your mesh, and we can catch up and go on together. Now, quite honestly, the color of your pipe cleaners, doesn't really matter. We could use black, doesn't matter. We're going to do our best to hide what we got going on here. So even if, you know, even if you didn't have any pipe cleaners, let's say you're like, oh, I only have black, it's okay. All right, so let's go in now with our mesh. I'm gonna go with a scrunch, technical term, I guess. Scrunch right up that center. As far as you can, all the way up. And I'm gonna put our mesh right there on the outside. We're gonna work on the outside first and then go into the inside. Crisscross, twist, twist. And then I'm going to overlap this mesh here and overlap this mesh over here. And then I'm just going to tuck it kind of in a little bit so that I'm not losing those pipe cleaners. And they are right where I want them to be when I need them. But I'm going to do the same thing over and over again. Just scrunch up the center. Now, if you've never made a wreath before, I would suggest you take the mesh that's left on your roll and practice with that. Okay, practice with that. What I did do was I took the first 6 pieces that I cut off that roll, and those 6 pieces are what's going on the outside of this frame. The other 6 pieces are going to go on the inside. They're a little more tightly wound, tightly, you know, they stay kind of the way the roller, whatever you want to call it, is. And so the last 6 pieces, as you can imagine, are even more tightly wound. So when I let go of this, it takes up a lot of real estate still. It spreads out very nicely. I can see that very easily. Takes up a lot of space. The pieces that come off the roll, the last 6 pieces, they do still expand, but just not as much. So if you're going to practice, you want to practice on the pieces that are what's left on the roll right now. Okay? Now the mesh, even though this is really pretty, super nice, good mesh, it's one of my very, very favorites. I love the jute mesh with the colored foil stripes. It is my favorite. I've said that for years and years. However, in a pancake wreath like this, you don't really get to see much of the mesh. You do get to see a little bit, but not a whole lot. I'm going to repeat, repeat, repeat. But with everything prepped, things go a little bit quicker, right? Go right on the top. Overlap. Overlap. There we go. Now, from here, I'm going to take those ribbons that I had prepared, and they're all ready. So I always put my favorite on the top, which obviously, if you know me, you know that I love plaid. I love it. This is clearly the cuter of the 2 ribbons. So I put my favorite on the top. I folded it to find the center, unfold, and then I'm going to scrunch up that center to put right down into the pipe cleaner, nice and tight, and then crisscross, twist, 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 twist. We'll come back and we'll do all the steps together. So we're just going to scrunch, fold it so that all those little pointy pieces are out facing towards you. Anything that goes into the wreath, or any of those points that are not hanging off the edge, if they're going on the inside, you won't see them. So make sure all those little pointy parts are hanging off the edge. Scrunch, scrunch, scrunch. This is the cutest little wreath for sure. Totally and absolutely love it. Nice and colorful. It isn't the typical, you know, red and white, or red and pink, or pink. It's very colorful. It's so fun. If you purchase this as a kit, thank you very much. I can't wait to see what it looks like. You can always send me an email, or you can send me a text. You can find both of those ways to contact me over at learnfrommelissa.com. Crisscross, twist, 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 twist. Now I'm going to pick up everything at once, take my wire cutter and cut off the excess of that, just because I don't need it. I'm going to end up hiding what's there anyways, and you don't have to do this part, but it's a habit now, and I just do it. Okay, so that excess is off. I don't need it. Another really cool part, not cool part, but another important thing that I do, I like to push this down forward, and then I like to push straight down, so it kind of compacts that pipe cleaner. Okay, and then I'm going to make sure I pull those apart up and down, pull them apart side to side, and then again pull it apart up and down, pull it apart side to side, so that when I place them, they're all spread out. I can see all those points on the outside. You know, so many people will text me and they'll say, mine doesn't look like yours. My tails, I can never get my tails to look like yours. And the number one thing I'm asking is, are you pulling them apart and pulling them apart, right? I just want to be able to see all of those ribbons, even the plaid, which I call, in this case, will be the supporter. And then we have the cutesy. Cutesy and the supporter, super cute together. Love. Now, the good news is, if you've never made this before, if you have this kit, you got through the outside ring. Now, we're going to do the exact same thing on those inner pipe cleaners, those ones that are still left. The only thing is that the next set is going to overlap a little more dramatically than this one does. So if you can see, this mesh doesn't quite overlap here. The next one is going to completely overlap. Okay, it's totally fine. It's totally normal. It's the way it goes. It's the way it is. Okay, so I'm going to go in one more time with our next layer of mesh, and go directly on top. Now you see why I kind of tuck those pieces underneath. Go directly on top. It is going to cover up your ribbons a little bit. It's fine. But once you have that next layer of ribbon on, it has a really nice layered effect that I think you'll enjoy. Same thing, get it all panned out. Ruffle all that you can. Right down, right on top. Perfection. Make sure if you are going to make the wreath, make sure you do prep everything. It does make the whole process go a little bit quicker, a little bit smoother. Now, not necessarily quicker because you're spending the same time, but you know, when you have everything ready for you, it just kind of goes a little smoother. You don't feel like it takes, you know, so long to make the actual wreath. So stinking cute. So this design is meant to be fairly flat. I do live in Michigan. Most of the folks here have storm doors, and most of the folks here traditionally and historically like to put their wreath between their main door and their storm door. And so this is not guaranteed to fit between doors, all doors, because you know that varies obviously tremendously, but that's what it's intended for. So it's not big and poofy. It does have you know, it does have a lot of the elements of a big and poofy wreath, you know, all the mesh, the ribbons, the sign, the bow, which we're going to make here in a little bit. However, it's deceiving from the face of it because from the side, it's not, you know, it's not thick. Okay, super, super cute. And then again, going through with one more layer of the ribbon, exactly the same, doing exactly the same. Pinch. Super stinking cute. Now I tie these in and then let them be so that again I can go through and do the step for all of them at the same time so that I feel like the process goes a little bit quicker. I'm not picking up my wire cutter 12 times. You know, I'm doing that just twice, just anything to make it go a little bit smoother. Pinch, pinch, pinch. This is super stinking cute. I hope you are subscribed to our YouTube channel. Go ahead and make sure that you are subscribed so that you get notifications in the future when there are videos and tutorials available. The kits that we do are typically all pancake wreaths. So those tutorials, although the mesh, the ribbons, and the sign may be different, the measurements are usually the same. But we also do so many other things here. And I know that we are looking forward to doing a lot of different things, more things here on our YouTube here in 2025 and going forward. So I hope you're enjoying this one. I hope you are enjoying this one. Same thing. I'm going to push it down. I'm going to push it down. Spread it apart. Now, as long as I do my job and have them spread apart, I know that when I'm placing them, after I have the sign on, the bow is on, and I'm trying to like put these in place, I know that they will go where I want them to as long as they're spread apart, right? If I've done that part, well, I should say, if I've done that part well, they will typically spread apart and stay apart. Now I did go with the pink plaid just because after all it is Valentine's Day. I did have a purple to match, but you know, I'm a pink person. I know there's lots of purple lovers, but I'm pink, so either would have gone just fine. Last one, push it down, push it in. Perfect. And then of course you could get away with this without the bow. Look at how stinking cute. Let me just go ahead and make it a little bit bigger. Stinking cute, even without the bow. Adorable, just like that. We are going to go ahead and add the bow. We're going to make the bow and then add it. I think we're going to go just like that. Move it up a little bit. Super cute. Okay, I have one pipe cleaner left. I am going to use my Easy Bow Maker because I have super bad carpal tunnel and it just helps to use this. Helps me to use this. So I'm going to go with a 7-inch tail and a 6-inch loop. I'm going to pinch, pull those apart, twist, loop, pinch, twist, and loop, pinch, and twist. Just slide it right down in there. Now typically I do a 2.5-inch ribbon for the bow, and in this case we are using all 1.5 inch. So the ribbons and the ribbon sizes in the bow do vary. Okay, so now everything gets a little bit smaller from the last. So the first tail was 7 inches and the first loop was 6 inches. And then from there, every layer that I add gets a little bit smaller. Pinch, twist, and loop. And then also what I'm doing is I'm going to make sure that the side where the tails are go opposite. So I'm not putting them in on the same side necessarily. And then this looks a little bit longer just because the ribbon is all the same length, and then of course as I go up to the top, the measurements get a little bit smaller, so my excess gets a little bit more. Okay, pinch, pinch, twist, loop, pinch, twist, loop. So 2 loops on one side, 2 tails on the other side with the 1 loop, always alternating where those where the tails go. Excuse me, it should be really where the loops go. Because this last one here has a 7-inch tail, and then, well, actually the tail, again, the tail gets a little bit smaller, so it's not necessarily 10 inches, or 7, sorry, excuse me. It's not necessarily 7 inches, it gets a little smaller. But here we're going to start 1 little loop, which is about 3 inches or so. This one's about 3.5 inches. So I'm going to go pinch, twist, loop, pinch, twist, loop, pinch, twist, and loop. There we go. I'm just going to make sure my 2 loops are here, so my 2 loops are going to go on the other side. And then, of course, I'm going to pull that up all together. Before I do, since this is in there pretty tight, before I do, I'm just going to go ahead and cut. I'm going to fold and cut, fold and cut all of these so I don't lose any. There we go. Okay, so I have all the excess. I have my extra pipe cleaner. Okay, I'm going to pull this off nice and easy. Once I get it all the way, almost all the way up, I'm going to scrunch it, pull it all the way off, nice and tight. Add my pipe cleaner from the top to the bottom. Nice and tight. And then I'm going to make sure I fluff. You can do this before or when it's in the wreath. I like to have it fluffed in this case, especially because our sign is a little bit bigger than what I normally use. And so I like to have it fluffed before so I can kind of place both the sign and the bow at the same time and not have anything squished or, you know, not have enough room. So I'm just going to pull those from the bottom and just make sure I'm pulling those ribbons apart as much as I can. Always kind of keeping a pattern. That one goes up, this one goes up, this one goes down. Perfect, perfect, perfect. So now I have a nice big, that's cute. That is cute. All right, readjust here. Okay, so we're gonna leave it just like that. I like how that is. So we're gonna put our sign in right where we are. So I'm gonna take our pipe cleaner and put it through the mesh exactly where it is. I don't want to shift it. I like the position. I like all that stuff. I'm going through the mesh. You can't go through the ribbons, or I would say go through the ribbons, but you can go through the mesh. And I'm looking for the frame, and I'm going to attach those pipe cleaners to the frame, and I'll turn it over so you can see the next one on the other side. through all those layers of mesh. This is the hardest part of the whole entire thing. Hardest part. There we go. All right, let me take that bow off of there so I can see, and so you can see. You can see there's a gap down there at the bottom, which is where our bow is going to go. See, now I brought that pipe cleaner through here, and I brought both of the pipe cleaners through there, and I slid the other side. I brought them both through here on this side. And then I slid this one underneath so I could grab a hold of it and nice and tight go against the frame. Okay. And I did the same on the other side. Nice and tight. I'm just going to curl those, bend them, curl them, get them underneath there, so that that sign isn't going to shake off anymore, or isn't going to come off. Now I'm going to do the same thing. Don't worry about our ribbons. They're all messy. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to put the pipe cleaners to our bow right through here, it felt like. Yep, right through there, kind of sideways. Keep going, keep going, keep going. Super cute. And then we'll move those loops out of the way so that we have it where we want it. But that's it. We're going to attach that. Okay. Make sure we have it nice and cute. Get all those colors all spread out. Now, you may be a little different, but I am totally fine with some of these overlapping, going on top of the sign. I'm okay with that. I think it just really makes it super cute. We all know that there are hearts, they have words. And then of course I'm going to go around the very last thing and make sure all of those ribbon tails are all showing, nothing's hiding, they're all facing out towards the edge. It all looks super good. Turned out super cute. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you learned something. I hope you enjoy this kit if you purchase it. If not, I hope in the future we can serve you with a kit. Make sure you are on our newsletter for the year. Again, you can go over to learnfrommelissa.com and join our email newsletter list there. This is super duper cute. So again, from the front, perfect. From the side, nice and thin to go between most doors. But that bow, it's just the whole thing, really super cute. Y'all, it's Melissa with Sincerely Creative Mom. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you're following, subscribed, all the things so we can see each other again. Until next time, I will see you again soon. Bye, y'all.